Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, here with an episode of the Steelers postgame show. Today, Saturday, this is when it was being recorded. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Tennessee Titans 16-6 in a rather mundane fashion, although this was the first and only time that the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base will see their starters prior to week 1 of the regular season, when they will travel to Cleveland to play the Cleveland Browns. Now, with that said, what happened in the game? In case you missed it, Ben Roethlisberger played into the second quarter, and he ultimately didn't play poorly. I think he finished 11 for 18, had a nice 32-yard touchdown pass to Justin Hunter. I thought he was a little erratic at times. Therefore, he had to get the rust off. That's why he played as much as he did. I was glad to see him play into the second quarter, as nervous as it made me feel. Nonetheless, he did look great. I should say that several players did not play. Antonio Brown was held out. There's no need for him to play in week 3 of the preseason. He will be fine. He will be ready. Mike Hilton did not play. We knew that going into it. Morgan Burnett did not play. TJ Watt did not play either. Those were the big names from players that did not participate. So now you look at what maybe didn't go so great, because I thought the offense looked good. They moved the ball really, really well. The first drive ended a long drive, time-consuming drive, but did not result in points. The Tennessee Titans had their best drive of the day following, but ended in punt. And then the Steelers drive down, score a touchdown. Roethlisberger moves the ball well in his final possession, but fails on a fourth and 3, I believe, or maybe it was a 4th and 1. They decided to throw the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster, and it fell incomplete. The defense, I thought the defense represented itself well. I'll put it that way. At a time when Pittsburgh Steelers fans just wanted to do nothing but rail on the defense for how poorly they looked in week 2, which they did against the Green Bay Packers, I thought they played well. I thought that they upped their game. I thought they tackled well. It shouldn't surprise you, though, that when Cam Hayward comes back, Stephon Tuitt plays better. Why? Because when Cam Hayward's in there, Stephon Tuitt isn't going to get double-teamed every single snap. And so Cam Hayward was in. Stephon Tuitt had an unbelievable performance. Thought he played great, had a sack. Cam Hayward had a sack. Some of the young guys contributed. I thought all in all, the Steelers played a very good defensive game. They shut out the Titans until, I believe, late in the third quarter, when the Blaine Gabbert-led offense drove on the 3rd and 4th string. But you know what? The Steelers win. Number one key, they are healthy, folks. No major injuries. There were some bumps and bruises. Jesse James with a back contusion. James Washington with an abdominal strain. None of those are considered serious. Most of those players will be sitting out in week 4 anyways. Good news on that front. So they got the rust off, and they were able to get out unscathed. So right now, we're simulcasting this. You might be listening on podcast, but we're also on YouTube right now. We're also on Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/BehindTheSteelCurtain. We're doing a Facebook Live. If you have questions and you're watching, fire away. I'm going to answer as many as I can, and I'll read those questions. So those that are not on the Facebook Live conversation can obviously chime in and know what I'm talking about. So Brian asked, what are your thoughts on the inside linebackers, especially Thomas? I have to be honest, I've read so much about from other writers on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com about Matthew Thomas and how he's looked good. I hadn't noticed him too much, but I made a very good point to try to watch for him. It was noticeable they had a specific sub package for him in this game. He said after the game that they call this package the Seminole. He went to Florida State. Basically, what they did is they would move Vince Williams to the outside and let him rush the passer from the outside in almost like a 4-3 look, and he would man the middle of the field. And he's athletic, he's fast, he's rangy. That's what's good. I thought Matthew Thomas solidified his spot on the 53-man roster, not with his play on defense, but special teams. He's unbelievable on special teams. He's fast. He's reckless. He tackles well. That's what you want in a special teams player. So I think, and the question was about Matthew Thomas, what did I think? I think he made the team tonight, period. Barring an injury, I think he's on the team. Does he have a huge role in the defense? I don't know. We have yet to see that. It depends on how he progresses and and how he does handling the ins and outs of a weekly regular season regimen, which is totally different than the preseason. So there you have that. I thought Matthew Thomas played very, very well. Another Bud Dupree. James says Bud Dupree doesn't look good. He needs effort. I don't think Bud Dupree looked bad at all. He doesn't flash off the screen. If people are expecting Von Miller or Khalil Mack when they see Bud Dupree, you're just not going to see that, folks. I mean, I thought that we had a great breakdown of Bud Dupree on the website earlier this week. You can go on and check it out on our Steelers film room. And it was all based on the fact that even though Dupree's pass rushing might be average to a slightly above average at best, his play and coverage is so good, and he's so athletic. So if he can just tackle, be a sure tackler, do his job in coverage, and maybe get around that left tackle and get a blindside sack here or there, I think that's all you want from Dupree. Also, I think the Steelers are very smart with how they're utilizing Dupree, because what they're doing with Dupree is they are actually moving him and rushing him on the inside at times. That's where I think he could do the most damage, is from that inside position, because he is so fast. When you get him on those interior linemen, he should be able to beat them. And people forget Vince Williams looked great too. I thought Vince Williams, he just got that new contract, man. I bet you knew he had to go out there thinking, I got to prove this money, this $20 million contract that I signed. I got to prove it. And he did. I thought he did that tenfold. Tremendous game. Nelson asks, who's going to be the backup quarterback? If you hadn't figured it out yet, it's Landry Jones. A lot of people hate Landry Jones. They think that he is trash, period. And I'm not saying I disagree, but I also look around the league and I see what other people are throwing out there as their number 2 quarterback. And I do feel at least Landry Jones, with the team that's around him, could win some football games if Ben Roethlisberger were to go down. Now, is Landry Jones going to pull a Nick Foles for you? I don't think so, personally. But at the same time, Mason Rudolph has shown that he is still very rough around the edges. So, it's one of those situations where, you got to see what's going on. Mason Rudolph's going to make the team. I think Joshua Dobbs gets cut or released. Maybe they pick him up on the practice squad. That'll depend. He has practice squad availability, didn't play in any regular season games last year, so that is still an option. But I think it's going to be Ben Roethlisberger, Landry Jones, Mason Rudolph as your 3 quarterbacks to fill out the depth chart as regular season begins. Man, it's slow on Facebook Live. Maybe this will be a short show today. If you have a question, go ahead and fire ahead, but we'll see. Let's hear. Robert asks, what's Bell going to do? What do I think about Le'Veon Bell? I think Le'Veon Bell is going to do what he said he's going to do all along and what he did last year. I think once the preseason ends, week 4 concludes this Thursday against the Carolina Panthers at home, he'll report maybe that Monday after. Maybe he'll report a few days earlier, and he'll be ready to go in the lineup. I'm more curious to see how the Steelers handle him when they come back. Do the Steelers actually, play him as much as they did last year? Or do they play James Conner, who has looked really good and showed off his receiving skills today, showed off his running skills last week and in week 1? He is turning into a complete back. He still has some issues to work out, like pass protection. But other than that, I think that that'll be interesting for me to see. Brian asked, does Conner get more touches this year? I think, if anything, because Le'Veon Bell is a 3-down back, I think if anything happens this year with James Conner, it's that they can trust him if Bell does need a spell. He needs a break. I don't think they're going to see any difference in Le'Veon Bell because they need him. He's a great player. People forget that. And so I think that the Steelers are smart to use Bell as much as they can. Some might say they want to run the wheels off with the likelihood that they're not going to get to him, get him next year. And so James Conner will be there in case something happens. So there you have that. Nelson asks, what about number 34? He's alluding to Terrell Edmonds. I thought he looked good today. Wasn't really challenged that much. He did have an interception of Marcus Mariota, which was nice. It was a very athletic play. I think that Edmonds is a work in progress. I don't think that he should be a starting safety at any time soon. But at the same time, I think that he has a lot of potential in this defense. And, a lot of people hated it when they picked him, but you know what? Honestly, I think he did okay. Eric says he loved Jalen Samuels today. Jalen Samuels, he might have made the football team today. We haven't seen Stephen Ridley in 2 weeks. They wanted to give Jalen Samuels a look, and if you notice, they wanted to see him running the football between the tackles. That's something he didn't do a lot at NC State. He didn't do very well in week 1 in the preseason, barely touched the ball in week 2. He ran the ball well. I think that the Steelers will like that enough that they will give him a shot in week 4 to really prove himself. I wouldn't be shocked if he starts week 4 and they rest everyone else to really give him a look. But I think he made a really strong statement today in making the football team. Bob asked, was it me or did Terrell Edmonds run after the interception seem a little weird? Look, Troy Polamalu's interception returns looked weird too. He bounced all over the place. He was doing nothing but cutbacks all the time. I think Edmonds should have scored if his defenders, like I think Bud Dupree was one that didn't really block for him after the interception, thought he was probably just going to get tackled or go down. Watch that replay again. You can go on our BehindTheSteelCurtain.com page. You can find it in a fan shot. You can also find it in the recap article with the interception video. And man, he trucks Mariota. It reminded me of when Troy Polamalu trucked Carson Palmer back in 2005 when he scored a touchdown. But, Edmonds is a defender. He's not an offensive player. It's like my brother always said, if cornerbacks could catch, they'd be receivers. And that's the truth. If safeties could catch, they'd probably be running backs or receivers as well. So keep that in the back of your mind. So ultimately, what do we take away from this game? We take away that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense was efficient. They didn't score a lot of points. They only put up 7. I understand that. But at the same time, they were efficient. Third downs, they need work. There was some rust, but I like what I saw. Starting defense, boy, did they step up their game. They look like a completely different unit. They look like they had been reading these articles, listening to people like myself and Lance Williams on Wednesday, not that they do, and hearing the criticism of them with tackling and playmaking. So I think they stepped up their game. They wanted to prove to fans, to themselves, this defense is better than what they put on the field in week 2, and they did that. Depth is always a concern. I think that the Steelers are still going to be watching the waiver wire. They're going to be looking for potential players to bring in to help kind of solidify this team and make it more complete. Will they sign anyone? It all depends. Will they lose players? Let's say if they cut Joshua Dobbs, which they probably will he go sign with someone else? That's the excitement that follows the week 4 game. So just to let you all know, this Thursday night, the Pittsburgh Steelers play the Carolina Panthers at home. Every single NFL team, I believe, plays on this Thursday. It's the final game of the preseason's week 4. And then after that, they get ready for their opener at Cleveland on September 9th. So make sure you check out Behind the Steel Curtain, whether you're on Facebook, whether on YouTube, just YouTube, go to youtube.com, type in BTSC Steelers Radio, find our page, our channel, give us a like, a subscription, comment. It's great. You'll get all of our podcasts there. That's really important. And we'll keep everything up to date. And when they make their cuts, we'll be the first to have it, as well as what happens with the practice squad and things of that nature. So we thank you for watching, whether you're watching or listening wherever, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video, probably Wednesday with Lance Williams on the Standard is the Standard. We'll see you later. Bye.